Salt Lake City, capital of the Mormons. What Mecca is to the Muslims and Rome is to the Catholics is what Salt Lake City is to the Mormons. It's also the capital of the U.S. federal state of Utah. This large city is situated in a valley at the eastern edge of the Great Salt Lake, in front of the 3,500-meter high Wasatch Mountains. This prosperous city also contains many of those with other faiths, but the highly influential Mormon Church makes most of the political decisions in this region. Four mighty walls surround the 4-hectare area in the middle of the old town, the center of the Mormon Church, Temple Square. It's decorated with flowers and contains the most important sacred buildings of the Mormon community, such as Salt Lake Temple, the Tabernacle, and the Conference Centre. Several fountains and monuments occupy the spaces between these fine buildings. Joseph Smith was 15 years old when he had his first vision. The Angel MORONI appeared to him and gave him a number of sacred texts that led to the foundation of the Mormon Church. A sacred land was established here and a settlement created within the desert. In 1896, it was designated as a federal state of the United States of America. The largest sanctuary and center of the Mormon faith is the Salt Lake Temple. Constructed of stone, its use is restricted to the Mormon religion. It was built between 1853 and 1893 in grey granite, new Gothic style with 6 towers. Its main tower is 68 meters high. Mormon symbolism is plain to see. Text with the word God and the image of an all-seeing eye. On the main tower, there is a 4-meter-high gilded statue of the Angel MORONI. Within the tower, the statue is stabilized by a pendulum and a guardian angel with a trombone. With its small white towers, the assembly hall is still in use today and follows the time-honored tradition of its founders to meet and experience community life. In front of the hall is the Gull Monument. It's a reminder of the birds that in 1848 saved a harvest that was threatened by vermin. This huge organ is one of 4 divine instruments. It maintains the long tradition of organ playing in Salt Lake City. Robert Sipe of Dallas created this 3-manual instrument, inspired by German organ construction of the 17th and 18th centuries. The sound of the organ and the acoustics of the hall are outstanding. It's no wonder that the concerts held here are appreciated by one and all. It's quite easy to imagine how the first pioneers met here and listened to the inspiring words of their leaders. Together, they worked out ideas for a better and more peaceful world. A huge bronze statue commemorates the founder of the settlement and the first governor of Utah, Brigham Young. After a long journey, he arrived here with the first pioneers. On the 24th of July, 1847, the Mormon leader and his followers came to what was then a strange and unknown region. Native Indians, the desert and the salt lake made things difficult for the first settlers here. But they gradually managed to create their very own land of God. A former luxury hotel now belongs to the Mormon Church. It contains a theatre that features a film on the history of the Mormons. Joseph Smith and his closest companions were missionaries of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Today, this religious community has more than 9 million members. Initially, they were treated with much intolerance. Smith was eventually murdered, leaving his faithful followers to begin their great calling. The Conference Centre is a holy place. The huge interior of the building can accommodate a congregation of 21,000 people and is visited by people from all over the world. The monumental organ was built by Schoenstein in San Francisco. It has 5 manuals and 7,708 pipes. The administrative headquarters of the worldwide active Mormon Church is, at 128 meters high, the city's tallest building. The religion's financial might and strict administration still exist today. Each member has to contribute 1/10 of his or her income. So the Council of the 12 Apostles and the Church Presidency are a wealthy multinational concern. Family history is an important aspect of the Mormon faith. In the Family History Centre, the worldwide data of family names is available for a search. This amazingly large databank allows people to trace their family roots. Genealogical research the modern way. In the Mormon religion, the family is paramount as it was created by God and is the basis of society. And it's important to both protect and strengthen family bonds. Although quite recent, the history of the city is nevertheless fascinating. When the first pioneers arrived, they first irrigated the fields in order that they could harvest food to survive. From Temple Square, they created an extensive network of roads, and polygamy was rife as the Mormon religion permitted marriage to more than one partner. The gold rush in the west of America and completion of the Transcontinental Railroad brought an increasing number of people to the city. For the local people, this brought their first commercial success. Polygamy was later prohibited, and Mormon teachings have since gone from strength to strength. For decades, Salt Lake City has been one of the cleanest and safest cities of America, and it's well known as a center of education, science, and technology. Beehive House was once the residence of Brigham Young, who lived here with his family. It was also the official seat of the governor. The Mormon leader lived here with his 27 wives and 56 children. One of the rooms was used as a shop that offered various farm produce for sale. The long hall is one of the most elegant rooms. Here, guests were entertained, including President Grant, Dom Pedro of Brazil, and also Mark Twain. The beautifully furnished rooms of Brigham Young's daughters are also impressive. The small dining room is also well arranged, but clearly too small for such a large family. There's also a fully equipped nursery. The Gardo room is also extremely elegant. This room served as a place of relaxation for Brigham Young, and it was where he chose his wardrobe. The further dining room looks warm and welcoming, but it's not known who used it. The children were educated at home. The boys had their own rooms that were also suitably furnished according to their needs. The adjacent Lion's House was once also used by Brigham Young, as his Beehive House became too small to accommodate his huge family. In 1856, only 2 years after the construction of his first house, the Mormon leader was forced to create additional living space for his family. It's remarkable how, despite the challenges of everyday life here, the first settlers had the time to build such large houses. Eagle Gate was built in 1859 and was the entrance to Brigham Young's farm. Due to increasing traffic, it became necessary to extend it. A 30-minute car drive north and we reach Great Salt Lake. Many mountain rivers flow into it, and it has no outlets. Measuring 148 kilometers long, 77 kilometers wide, and 8 meters deep, it's the largest lake west of the Mississippi. With a salt content of 27%, it's also the most salty stretch of water on Earth apart from the Dead Sea. A paradise of salt. The Bonneville Salt Flats are located next to the Great Salt Lake. a huge area covered by salt that is one of the flattest areas in the world. This extraordinary natural phenomenon was created during the final stages of the evaporation of Lake Bonneville, the inland waters that once covered all of Utah. The working of the salt began in the middle of the 19th century. After the water has evaporated in shallow basins, salt deposits are extracted. Next, it is washed, dried and sieved and separated out into various qualities. The salt is finally piled up onto so-called salt mountains for storage. Great Salt Lake was once used for motorsports. On the salt flats, racing drivers in rocket-shaped cars attempted to beat one land speed record after the other. The sight of this natural wonder makes it easy to ignore the foul smell given off by dead plants and animals. Bingham Canyon is situated 35 kilometers southwest of Salt Lake City in the Oquirrh Mountains, where the village of Copperton became famous due to a metal. Here, surface mining extracts copper, the largest surface mining area in the world, and with the largest hole in the earth created by man. "4 kilometers in diameter and 900 meters deep, it can be seen from outer space, as can the Great Wall of China. The copper-containing ore is removed in single strata. First holes are drilled and then explosives are used. The ore is then removed with large machinery. Huge lorries transport up to 320 tons to the crushing machines, in which the copper ore is smashed into pieces no larger than a tennis ball. The broken down copper ore is then transported on long conveyor belts to a factory, in which the pure copper is washed out. The ore itself contains only 0.6% copper. Next, it is made into a powder and then cleaned. It now has a concentration of 28%. This concentrate is melted down, and then iron and sulfur are removed. Anodes are created, and they are refined to pure copper by way of electrolysis. In 1863, Colonel Connor sent the soldiers of his Californian infantry to the canyon. Most of them were mine workers who were quick to discover the full value of the ore stone. News of their discovery soon spread, and workers from all over the world applied for work here. Thus, Bingham Canyon became a world-famous and densely settled area. Returning to Salt Lake City, we visit one of the most recent building complexes, the Salt Palace Complex, with an arena and art center. In the main area, there is a modern conference and exhibition center constructed out of glass and steel. Measuring 100,000 square meters, its 53 rooms range in size from fairly small right up to a huge ballroom. There's also a 365,000 square metre exhibition hall that can be divided into 8 individual sections. The large ballroom boasts various records. At 45,000 square metres, it's one of the largest on the planet, and also has a 13,000 square metre kitchen. The Arts Centre is located on 2 floors, and the Maurice Abravanel Concert Hall features remarkable acoustics. The Utah Symphony Orchestra is one of the most important orchestras in the USA. And the Salt Palace Arena is the home of Utah Jazz, a famous basketball team. Construction of the Cathedral of the Madeleine began in 1900 and was completed in 1909, a Christian building whose exterior is of romantic design and with a Gothic interior. It was designed by architects Karl Neuhausen and Bernard Mecklenburg. John Comus, one of America's leading architects, designed the interior, inspired by Spanish Gothic design of the late Middle Ages. In 1992, a new organ was installed and the colourful glass windows were restored. They feature images of God, the Holy Virgin Mary, and Jesus with his crown of thorns. Fine columns support the imposing roof of this church that is dedicated to Mary Magdalene. The city's main administrative building was built in 1892 from Cayuny sandstone. It was originally Utah's Parliament building. A spacious park surrounds the massive building with many green areas, flowers and fountains set within a desert region. In 1915, the Parliament moved into a new building on a small hill that looks over the city. The external facade of the castle-like building is decorated with stone carvings. They feature the faces of the various Indians and Spanish conquerors who first came here. Since the early days of this city, its inhabitants had a strong sense of culture. In 1912, opera performances and dance shows were performed in the Capitol Theatre. Due to the hard work of the first pioneers to come to this region, a thriving community developed here amid the desert. Now the splendid villas of the suburbs look like a natural part of the landscape. In spite of the merciless summer heat, this city is a wonderful oasis set amid a hostile environment. A splendid city located on the edge of the Great Salt Lake. And nearby, a large expanse of merciless desert. Once both faith and diligence established this remarkable place. Since then, Salt Lake City has become the center of a hugely successful religious empire.